There we go. We're recording. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that everyone is doing well. I know that it's really challenging right now, but I hope that your family is healthy and safe. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about understanding what your students should know by the fall of 2020. And originally this presentation was going to be about all of the different subjects. However, when I started getting into it, I realized that there's a lot of information, and so we're going to break this up into two different sessions. And today we're going to talk strictly about reading and writing and those key skills that your student will need before going into kindergarten or first grade, depending on which grade your student is in.
Bienvenidos a todos, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Nos da mucho gusto que estén presentes y esperamos que todos ustedes estén sanos y seguros en esta situación. Hoy vamos a hablar un poco de qué es lo que necesitan saber sus estudiantes para el otoño del 2020. Y cuando ella anunció esta presentación, primero pensó que iba a ser sobre todo lo que necesitan saber los estudiantes para estar listos para el otoño. Sin embargo, se dio cuenta que es mucha información. Entonces van a ser dos presentaciones separadas. La de hoy se va a enfocar en la lectura y la escritura.
Thank you, Ms. Calderon. Okay, so here's today's agenda. We'll do a quick mood meter check-in. We'll look at the purpose and learning objectives for today. Then we'll go into kindergarten readiness skills. So this would be if your student is in TK and is transitioning into kinder. And then we'll look at first grade readiness skills. So if your student is in kinder, transitioning to first grade, and then we'll close out. Okay.
Esta es la agenda de hoy. Vamos a empezar con viendo cómo nos sentimos a través de medir el humor de nosotros. También vamos a ver los propósitos y objetivos del aprendizaje. Si su estudiante está actualmente en kinder transicional, entonces le vamos a pasar también la información para que estén listos para kinder, y si su estudiante está en kinder actualmente, la información para qué habilidades necesita tener para el primer grado.
Thank you. And Ms. Calderon, I do know that John has prepared the translation, and so if you want to focus on the waiting room, and then you can, yeah, awesome, thank you. All right, so what I want to do is I just want to start and just take a moment to reflect how you're feeling with the mood meter. It's so important that we as caretakers and educators right now are taking care of our emotional health and tending to that. So I won't ask you to respond in any way, but just reflect. Where are you on the mood meter right now, and what do you need? So again, the vertical axis is about energy, and the horizontal axis is about comfort. So just think about how you're feeling.
Nos tomaremos un momento para reflexionar sobre cómo estamos hoy. Es tan importante que nosotros que nos cuidemos, porque cuidamos muchos aspectos que necesitamos que cuidar, como nuestra salud emocional. Entonces solo reflexiona sobre tú mismo. ¿Dónde estás en el medido de la tabla de humor? ¿Qué necesita usted hoy? Si los sentimientos de alta energía están de arriba, de bajo energía, están para abajo.
Thank you. So the purpose for today's session is that, you know, Miss Lee, Mr. JC, Mr. Perez, and I have been calling families, and we've been getting a lot of questions about academic expectations for kindergarteners. So we've been getting, what does kindergarten reading and writing actually look like? What should my student be able to do right now? Are they behind? Are they ahead? Sort of where are they? Oh, sorry. And then what are these things that the teacher is talking about? You know, we use specialized vocabulary like sight words and CBC words. Like, what do these things mean? And then finally, how can I teach my child so that they're ready for the next grade, considering that right now they are not in their classroom with their teachers?
So ahorita el tema que estamos hablando es durante el alcance. El señor JC, la directora, y yo mismo hemos tenido muchas de estas preguntas comunes. Es cómo es realmente la lectura y escritura del kinder y a cuál nivel debe de estar mi estudiante ahorita. ¿Qué pueden hacer si están de atrás? Y también de las cosas que están hablando la maestra. ¿Qué se quiere decir las palabras
I'm very sorry. My computer is doing this very weird thing right now where it automatically shuts off my sound. So I will go ahead and reshare that screen with you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move to the purpose and learning objective. And the number one purpose was just to identify the most important literacy skills that our incoming kindergarteners and first graders need to know how to do in order to be successful at school in the fall. To equip families with the knowledge, skills, and resources to help their child be reading ready for the next grade. And then really I wanted to make sure that I inspired families to know that with just a small amount of academic and social emotional support each day from now until August, that students will be on the right track for success in the next grade level.
Y el propósito y los objetos de aprendizaje es para identificar las habilidades de alfabetización más importantes que nuestros alumnos de kinder y primer grado necesitan para conocer, para tener éxito en la escuela en el otoño, y también para equipar a las familias con el conocimiento, las habilidades y los recursos para ayudar a sus hijos a estar listos para el próximo grado. Y también me gustaría, como la directora, inspirar a las familias a saber que con solo una pequeña cantidad de apoyo académico y social emocional cada día, desde ahora hasta agosto, sus estudiantes estarán en el camino correcto para el éxito en el próximo nivel de grado.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Okay, so I want to kind of just ground us in a couple of mindsets. The first one is just this idea. We are all doing the very best that we can right now, and it's important that you're gentle with yourself in this. Our world is in upheaval, and parents are being asked to take on multiple roles. I know a lot of you are working full-time at home right now, plus you're trying to educate your child. You're also a partner, an employee, a parent, and now you're being asked to be a teacher. And so the truth is that our kids are not going to get as much right now as they would if they were in school with their teacher, and that is 100% okay. It is the RISE Koyang Elementary School goal that 100% of them will graduate 5th grade from our school reading, writing, and doing math at or above grade level. And so, you know, we have excellent kindergarten teachers, and we've hired excellent first grade teachers as well. And so we'll do the best we can right now, but if there is some slippage or maybe students aren't, you know, learning at the pace that we wanted them to, that's okay. We will catch them up next fall, and they're going to be 100% okay with some time.
Y otra cosa que nos gustaría saber es que tenemos que estar amables con nosotros mismos. Esta transición al aprendizaje de la distancia no es algo fácil, y como padres tienen múltiples posiciones que tienen que llenar. Muchos de ustedes están trabajando 8 horas y tienen que manejar también los estudiantes, tienen que ser pareja, también tienen que ser parte maestro, y la realidad es que nuestros estudiantes simplemente no van a aprender tanto ahora como lo harían si estuvieran en la escuela, y eso está bien por el momento. El objetivo de la escuela primaria Rice Koyang es que 100% de los alumnos se gradúen del 5º grado leyendo, escribiendo y haciendo las matemáticas al nivel de grado. Y incluso si algunos de los estudiantes se atrasan un poquito, es algo que con el tiempo los vamos a alcanzar al nivel que deben de estar 100%.
Thank you. And the second framing mindset is that I'm getting ready to share a bunch of skills that students you know, ideally would have by the end of the beginning of the next grade level. But it's just really important to know that these are guidelines. Children are not all the same, and every child has different strengths in different areas, and everyone learns at their own pace. What takes one child 2 months might take another child 6 months, and that is 100% okay. And so when that happens, we approach the situation with patience, persistence, and love, and we will know that the students will get there with time.
Y otra cosa es que estos son más como guías que reglas. Una cosa que tenemos que tomar en consideración es que algo que le puede tomar a un alumno para aprender en 2 meses, puede tomar a otro estudiante 6 meses. Y eso está bien. Los niños no todos son iguales y todos tienen diferentes fortalezas y diferentes áreas donde aprenden mejor. Paciencia, persistencia y amor va a ser clave en su aprendizaje.
So, and I will share this PowerPoint slide with you. But like I said today, we're just going to focus on the skills that are in blue because those are the reading and writing skills. And what we'll do is we'll have a separate presentation where we talk about the math and social emotional skills. And I'm not going to read all of these right now. We'll look at them individually when it's time to talk about each of them.
Y no se preocupen, voy a compartir esta presentación después. También va a ser otra presentación dedicada a este sujeto, pero estas son las 13 principales que esperemos que los estudiantes tengan en cada grado y nos vamos a enfocar en los que están en azul.
Thank you. So one thing that I want to show you is these are the examples of some Common Core standards. We do use the Common Core standards at RKES. And so these are some examples, and I just want to point out a phrase to you. As you can see at the beginning of each of these standards, it says, with prompting and support. So a lot of families have asked, he can't do this by himself. What's wrong? It's okay, and it's not the expectation that by the time a student finishes kindergarten that they're able to do all of these things independently. The expectation is that they are going to need prompting and support, so that's completely okay.
Y la cosa importante de tomar de este tema, que estos son los primeros 3 estándares básicos que adquirimos y muchos padres lo que dicen es que piensan que después de salir del kinder sienten que sus hijos ya deben de poder tener la habilidad de hacer estas ciertas cosas ellos mismos, pero como ven en la línea azul, todo eso tiene que ver con indicaciones y apoyo. So, con que tengan esas indicaciones y el apoyo, está bien que ocupen esa extra ayuda para llegar a esa meta.
Thank you. Okay, so these are the skills we're going to focus on today. And so these are the skills if your student is in transitional kindergarten, going into kindergarten next year. These are the 5 major reading and writing skills that we would hope that they would have as they enter the next grade. And then these are the 5 that we would hope that the kindergarten student entering 1st grade would have. And I'm going to talk about each of these individually, what this means, and some strategies that you can use to support your students to be successful with them.
Y aquí en la izquierda tenemos las 5 metas que queremos que su estudiante que esté en kinder empezando pueda completar, y a la derecha trae las otras metas que esperemos alguien que se esté moviendo de kinder al 1er grado pueda alcanzar. Estaremos hablando de estas metas y proveyendo estrategias para mejor ayudarlos con el aprendizaje de sus estudiantes.
Okay, so starting with the students who are in TK going to kindergarten. The number 1 skill for reading and writing is recognizing and writing the letters of the alphabet in uppercase and lowercase. So when we ask a student, what is this letter? They should be able to say that is a B, and they should be able to write it. One thing that is really important to know is that there is something called reversals in early literacy, and that is 100% okay in this developmental stage. And what that means is if you look here at this example, you see this K here, the student has written it in the opposite direction, and that's what we call a reversal. So if a student is doing the letters opposite, they still get counted right because that is a K, they know how it is, they're just getting it a little bit backwards. And so what we do is we just have them continuing to practice with tracing paper and practicing it correctly.
Y la primera habilidad que nos estaremos enfocando es que necesitan que reconocer y escribir las letras del alfabeto en mayúsculas y minúsculas. Y tenemos un término que se llama a los reversals o reversiones, que básicamente es cuando está tratando de escribir una letra al estudiante, la escribe del lado contrario como si estuviera mirando en un espejo. Y eso está completamente bien y es parte de su aprendizaje.
Thank you. So, reading and writing their letters, and then tied to that is understanding the relationship between letters and the sounds that they make. So the alphabetic principle is this idea that we would hope that a student would have before going into kindergarten, this idea that words are made up of letters and these letters represent sounds. And so students should be able to look at this letter and say, A is A for apple, or that these three letters together mean something. You know, and they're not, students entering kindergarten aren't reading yet. Well, most of them aren't reading yet, but you know, the idea that it represents something. And I do want to say that this skill specifically is taught explicitly in the first semester of kindergarten. And so if a student isn't understanding all of their sounds immediately, that is okay, but just let's see how far ahead we can get them by the end of summer.
Y la segunda habilidad es comprender las relaciones entre las letras y los sonidos que hacen las palabras. Y llegando al kinder, muchos estudiantes no pueden leer, pero lo que sí queremos es que reconozcan que las palabras están construidas de letras individuales. Y el primer semestre de la escuela está dedicado a este tema. Los estudiantes deberían de poder decirle que los sonidos hace cada letra. Por ejemplo, que la A es por manzana o S es por gato. Y es algo que esperemos que ayudamos a los estudiantes que aprendan hasta el fin del verano.
And John, for this slide, maybe we can do the translation for each picture one at a time. That I think it would be easier.
Sure thing.
So how to support at home? What can you do at home to help these develop these two skills? One thing is using what you have and the structures within your house. So when you're putting away your groceries, you can have your child help, which teaches them about being a responsible child at home. But you can also say for each item, you can say the word milk and ask what the word starts with. If the student struggles, you go and then they'll be able to say M. And so you're helping reinforce the idea that objects are words or have words that make sounds.
Y una de las maneras que podemos apoyar a nuestros estudiantes es hacer esa asociación con los objetos y que tienen una palabra. Cuando esté guardando las compras, puede decir a su estudiante o hijo que le ayude con las compras a ponerlo. Y también no solo le enseña de la responsabilidad, pero también para escuchar las letras. Por ejemplo, que la L es por leche o M es por milk. Y haciendo esa repetición ayuda a hacer esas conexiones.
Another thing you can do is an ABC scavenger hunt and send the student off with all of the letters of the alphabet and ask them to bring back objects that start with each letter. The students will make some mistakes, like for example, they might, for the letter K, they might bring back a candle which actually starts with a C, but they're still getting it and that's completely okay.
Y otra actividad divertida que se puede hacer es la búsqueda de tesoro alfabético. Por ejemplo, puede usar la letra C y decirle que busquen para un K. Y te pueden traer algo que empiece con la letra K en vez, pero eso está bien y es parte del aprendizaje.
You can also sing the name game with them, which if you're not familiar with it, Jack, Jack, Boback, Banana, Fana, Fofac, me, my, Momac, Jack. And I know that's silly, but what it does is it teaches the students the idea of something called chaining, which is this idea where you can replace one letter and then make an entirely new word.
Y otro concepto que tenemos es cantar la canción. Se llama un nombre del juego y les ayuda a comprender un concepto llamando encantamiento, donde puede reemplazar una letra y crear otra nueva palabra.
You didn't want to sing, John? That's fine. Okay, so YouTube is also a great resource. I know we want to limit screen time for our students, but there's great educational content on YouTube. You can just type in the alphabet, teaching your student the alphabet, and there's some great videos out there.
Y también bien conocido es el sitio de YouTube que tiene muchas canciones geniales que solamente también escribe la canción del alfabeto y encontrará algunas excelentes opciones allí.
You could have a student write Post-its or write letters on Post-its and then label objects around the house. So for example, you could put a D at the door, which is helping reinforce that concept with students.
Y otra manera que podemos ayudar a reforzar la idea que objetos son palabras es usar los Post-its, donde el estudiante puede poner, por ejemplo, en la computadora, un Post-it con la letra C.
Thank you. And then lastly, we did pass out this book at the end of the last distribution, Letters and Numbers for Me. And the entire first half of it is devoted to writing their letters. And it gets more complex as the book goes on.
Y nosotros ya distribuimos este libro de trabajo, pero también hay letras y números que lleva para ayudarlos a practicar la formación de sus letras. La primera mitad del libro está dedicada a las letras y ya que sigue más el libro, se hace un poco más avanzado.
Great. So skill number 3 is retelling a story that has been read aloud. So students at this age should be listening to stories all the time, and they should be able to remember and recall what happened. So with some prompting and help, they should be able to tell you what happened in the story, who the main characters were, and how they solved their problems, and then what was the setting, so where and when it took place. You can also remember at this young age, students have really vivid imaginations, and so sometimes they have a hard time differentiating between what actually happened in the story and what their imagination is saying happened in the story or what they wish happened. That is completely okay and normal. And if you are worried about it, you can just ask the question like, was that really in the story or did you wish it was in the story? So they might do that. A lot of people have also asked, with the libraries closed right now, where can I access books? And so here are some resources that have access to lots of different read aloud books. And YouTube has a lot of books on it. And so I do encourage you to use that.
Y la tercera habilidad que queremos enfocarnos es que los estudiantes puedan repetir y describir una historia que se le ha leído en voz alta. Pueden tener que describir qué tipo de personas estuvieron con ayuda y indicaciones, poder describir lo que sucedió, quién fueron los personajes y dónde o cuándo estuvo el lugar. Y a esta edad lo que es bueno es que los estudiantes tienen una imaginación muy vívida. Y lo más interesante que muchos también han estado preguntando es, durante este tiempo que están cerradas las librerías, ¿en dónde es que podemos leer libros? Y aquí, como ven en la pantalla, hay diferentes sitios o diferentes recursos donde puede tener acceso a libros para leer para sus estudiantes, como EPIC.
Yes. And so how to support students at home with this. So the number one thing that you can do is just read with your student. So make it a practice to read with a student once a day, or have an older sibling read with them, or your partner read with them for approximately 20 minutes at every single day. And so really establishing a routine around that can help. So maybe right before bedtime, after dinner, or whenever you think would be helpful for your family. Students at this age, the beginning of their kindergarten years, are not yet completely independent readers, and so they need to be read to. Plus, it is a fantastic time to build a relationship with your student.
Y lo más importante que le podemos decir es que por favor lean a sus estudiantes. Por lo tanto, practique leer a sus estudiantes un día a la vez durante aproximadamente 20 minutos. Puede ser antes de acostarse, después de la cena o cuando sea un buen momento para adquirir el hábito. Los estudiantes de esta edad aún no son lectores independientes y por lo que deben de ser leídos. Además, es un buen momento para establecer una relación con el estudiante.
Yeah. You can also practice this skill after watching an episode on television or a student listening to a story that someone is telling them. See, TV shows and stories and oral stories have characters, setting, and events too. So if they've watched an episode of Paw Patrol, you can say, who are the main characters? What happened? Where did this take place? Which is the exact same skill.
Y también, sin embargo, puede practicar estas habilidades después de ver un programa de televisión como Paw Patrol o Peppa Pig y escuchar de otra persona quien estuvo los programas de televisión. También tiene eventos, personajes y escenarios que puede hablar con su estudiante.
Okay. The next skill that a student entering kindergarten should know, or is kind of the guideline to know, is just knowing some sight words. So you may have heard this term before. In a sight word, we also in our curriculum use the term mystery word. So you might hear one of the two. And a sight word is a word that students see frequently, but it doesn't normally, or it doesn't follow the conventional English spelling. And so students should learn to automatically recognize these words without sounding them out. And I have a couple examples. So of, if a student sounded this out based on the word, the skills that they know right now, it would be something like off, because the F makes a sound, but we say it as of. Or make, if they sounded this out phonetically, would be make, which it's not how we say it. We say make. And so they have to memorize them because they're spelled differently. These are all of the words that we teach explicitly in kindergarten. And so a TK student should know some of them, but not all of them. The goal is by the time the student enters first grade, they know all of these. Oh, and then lastly, I purchased a set of flashcards for all of these. And so we'll attach printable sight words flashcards when we post to Parent Square that you can cut out and use with your student.
Y la cuarta habilidad es la habilidad de conocer las palabras de vista. Y las palabras de vista o sight words se refieren a palabras que nos gustaría que los estudiantes y alumnos reconozcan sin tener que hacer sonido. Por ejemplo, por la palabra make, si el estudiante solamente lo trata de escribir usando sonidos, se oyera algo como make. So, estas palabras son algo que nos gustaría que se memoricen y por el tiempo hemos creado flashcards o cartas de memoria que vamos a estar mandando para que ayude a los estudiantes a reconocer esto. Y ya ayudamos con la lectura que después de terminar el kinder reconozcan la mayoría de estas palabras.
Thank you. So how can you support at home? And these are the kind of words that students just have to memorize because they are different than the rules they're learning right now. So the number one thing I can say is flashcards. And again, we'll post some flashcards that you can cut out and you can give to your students. And so my suggestion would be to have a routine. When can you practice flashcards regularly? Maybe it's when they're eating breakfast. Maybe it's before they earn TV time, so they have to practice their flashcards for 10 minutes before getting to watch a favorite television show. Or maybe it's after dinner. Another thing that I've seen families do before is putting a few flashcards at a time. You don't want to put all of them, but a couple of flashcards in some common spaces, like a bathroom mirror, so that the students can practice while doing very routine things like brushing their teeth. So instead of staring at the wall, they're looking at their flashcards while they're doing these things.
¿Y cómo se puede apoyar en la casa? Yo recomiendo alto el método de usar tarjetas de flash o las tarjetas de memoria. Es bueno tener una rutina cuando puedes practicar tarjetas de vocabulario regularmente. Puede ser durante el desayuno antes de ganar tiempo en la televisión. Eso puede ser un incentivo después de la cena. Y otra cosa que he visto es que las familias pongan algunas de las cartas de memoria en espacios comunes, como un espejo de baño. Entonces, si el estudiante está practicando con su rutina o lavando sus dientes, ellos mismos pueden ver esa palabra de vista o el sight word.
And the last skill for students currently in TK transitioning into kinder next year is they should be able to write some words and simple sentences with support and mistakes. So they're going to make mistakes. They're going to spell things wrong. That is 100% okay. We actually encourage it. But I have some examples of what this looks like. So here are 3 images of students at the very beginning of their kindergarten stage. And they're all very different. You can see that, you know, this one here is a little bit less advanced than this one, but they're all acceptable for entering kindergarten. Some things that you might notice with your students writing, or you might want to look for to the appropriate traits, are that they're beginning to use letters to represent sounds. So they might not know how to spell friends yet, but they might know that the F sound makes, or friends starts with the F sound, so they might write an F. That's what this student did right here. She wrote an F, which is friends. They also are using something called invented spelling, which I'll talk about later when we talk about the kindergarten skill. They're using pictures and letters to express their thoughts. We encourage this in kindergarten as well. They're using a combination of upper and lowercase letters. So sometimes they're using them incorrectly, but that's okay because they're still practicing with it. And then just the most important idea is that they're beginning to use letters and words to represent ideas.
Y aquí tenemos la habilidad número 5 y como anteriormente es escribir algunas palabras y oraciones simples. Y es la cosa importante, es con apoyo y errores. Está 100% bien si el estudiante hace errores porque es parte de su aprendizaje. Algunos rasgos apropiados es que comience a usar letras para representar sonidos como F para amigos o A como amigos. Estas son cosas que debe de notar cuando un estudiante se está entrando al grado de kinder. También usando una combinación de dibujos o letras para expresar sus pensamientos y combinaciones de letras mayúsculas y minúsculas. Pero lo más importante es que estén comenzando a usar las letras y palabras para representar ideas.
So for this one, I'll share the strategies to support writing at the end of the kindergarten section because they are the same.
Y por esta sección compartiré en la sección de kinder con consejos para ayudar y apoyar con la escritura porque sí son iguales.
All right, so we're going to transition into if your student is in kindergarten and they're entering first grade, what are those key skills that are really important when starting first grade?
Ahora vamos a hacer la transición. ¿Qué tal si su estudiante ya está en el grado kinder y va a meterse al primer grado? ¿Cuáles son algunas de las claves habilidades que debe de tener para tener éxito en el primer grado?
So the first skill is that everything that I just shared, the students should be able to do because it was taught in kindergarten, and then plus some new ones. So they're all the kindergarten ones plus some extras that I'll share here in a second.
Todas las habilidades que apenas hemos compartido deben de estar incluido en lo que el estudiante debe de reconocer antes de entrar al primer grado, incluso algunos adicionales que vamos a compartir ahorita.
So the second skill for students entering first grade is that they should be able to read grade level books with ease and understanding. And an example of the grade level books are the decodable readers that we handed out at the last 2 distributions. So we provided a few for you, and we will provide more at the next packet pickup. But these books are at kindergarten grade level, and the goal is that the student should be able to read these with ease and understanding, mostly independently, but if they need a little bit of help, that's okay too. As you can see, the words are very simple, mostly sight words or CVC words, which I'll explain in a second, and the sentences are very short. And then the books also have photos to help the students understand.
Y la habilidad número 2 que nos estamos enfocando es que los estudiantes deben de poder leer los libros con facilidad y poder entenderlo mejor. Por lo tanto, hemos proporcionado algunos libros decodables y proporcionaremos algunos más en la próxima recogida de paquetes. Pero todos estos libros están en el nivel de lectura de Kinder y los objetos que los estudiantes pueden leer en estos libros son con facilidad y comprensión. Las palabras son simples, principalmente las palabras de la vista o las palabras CVC, y las oraciones son cortas. Todos los libros también tienen imágenes para ayudar con la comprensión.
So how can you support this at home? And number one is to have the students practice using those decodable texts with you. Even if they've read them 50 times, having them continue to read them is going to help build their fluency. But you can also access, oh, I am sorry, I clicked on one of those links. You can also access all of
Mrs. Curry Allen, I think your sound went out.
Can you hear me now? Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I don't know why my computer is doing that. It's so weird. But you can access you can access free grade level books online on these websites. So here are 4. There's something called WillBooks, ReadWorks, K5learning.com, and then there is a channel on YouTube that has kindergarten grade reading texts.
Y es muy importante que haga los estudiantes que practiquen usando los textos decodificables con usted. Y una manera que puede hacer eso es accesar a libros gratuitos del nivel de grado que esté en línea con el nivel de su estudiante. Y abajo puede ver en la pantalla algunos de los recursos que tenemos disponibles, como uno que se llama WillBooks, otro ReadWorks, K5 Learning y por supuesto también un canal en la sitio YouTube.
Okay, so the next skill is those sight words that we shared earlier, the exact same list that I shared earlier, but the kindergarteners really should know all of these by the time that they start first grade. If they don't, of course, we'll catch them up and we'll support them, but the goal is that they know all of them.
Y por otra vez, la habilidad 3 es que deben de poder leer y escribir las palabras de vista, y sabemos que no todos lo van a poder hacer, pero nuestra meta es que los ayudemos a hacer eso comenzando del primer grado.
Okay. And the strategies are exactly the same, so I won't go over those again, but really it's just flashcards.
Y las estrategias son ya casi idénticas y es el uso de las cartas flash o cartas de memoria.
Skill 4 is writing and reading what we call CVC words, or consonant vowel consonant words. You might have seen this quite a bit on their student packets. And so what is this? You might know what this is, but I know it's been a while since I was in first grade, so I'll just give you a little bit of a review. So they should know how to recognize, read, and write these CVC words, and it's about how a word is structured. So it's a consonant, then a vowel, then a consonant, and all of the words go in that order, C, V, C. So we have our consonants and we have our vowels here. And so our vowels are those sounds that are open with no constricted airflow. So A, E, O, U. And particularly what we look for is we look for our short vowels. That's what our students have learned so far. They've learned these sounds. So A for apple, E for egg, I for igloo, A for octopus, and for umbrella. They'll learn their long vowel sounds at the very beginning of first grade. So those are the vowels. And the consonants are sounds that are closed, where the air is stopped in different ways. So k, where you're doing something with your mouth to stop the flow of air. And so these are the examples. It's everything except A, E, I, O, and U. Okay. We also have something that's called a digraph, and a digraph is where you have 2 letters that blend together to make one sound. And our students have learned these 4 digraphs. So SH is sh, WH is w, TH is f, and CH is ch. And so these serve as like one consonant.
Y también para la habilidad número 4 es escribir y leer las palabras constantes y vocales constantes. So, otra vez es lo que referimos cuando hablamos del CVC. ¿Y qué es un vocal? Un sonido que esté abierto y no tiene una restricción de hablar. Por ejemplo, las letras A, I, O, U, I, y a veces Y no trae restricción cuando estás hablando. Por ejemplo, nuestros estudiantes ya saben la corta A, E, I para igloo, O y U. Y también las largas palabras también como la A de ape, I de eat, I de ice, O de oatmeal y U de unicorn. Y también tenemos algo que se llama digraphs o en español los diágrafos, que es cuando son dos letras juntas que hacen un sonido. Y aquí abajo, en la derecha, puede ver los digraphs o dígrafos que los estudiantes ya deben de reconocer, como la CH, que hace el sonido ch para chair.
So by the time the student enters the first grade, they should be reading, writing, and recognizing these very simple words independently. So here are some examples. Van, so there's your consonant, vowel, consonant. Hat, bag, pan, very simple words. And they should also be able to do this with digraphs. So you have your fish, chop, wash. So you've got your two letters together making that one sound. So fish. And we will attach some practice word lists of different types of CVC words when we post this to Parent Square that you can practice with your student.
Y por cierto, también deben de escribir y leer las palabras otra vez. Y aquí tenemos muy simples ejemplos. Por ejemplo, que tiene la van, que es la V, A y la N. Y también aquí, por ejemplo, tenemos la palabra pescado o fish, donde tiene la S y la H que hace un sonido. Algunas listas de palabras cuando publiquemos esto van a estar en Parent Square. Además de que también hay algunas listas de palabras en las últimas 2 páginas del paquete de trabajo del estudiante actual.
Great. So how can you support at home? There are 3 major ways you can help with this. Number 1 is flashcards. Flashcards are fantastic. So I'll also attach some of these as well. So you've got some flashcards with the CVC words. They can either have pictures or not have pictures, depending on what your student needs. I'll post options of both. If your student is ready to do it without pictures, I encourage it, but if they need the picture to help them, that's okay too. Yeah, let's do it each time, John.
Ahorita lo que tenemos es maneras de apoyar en la casa y una de las maneras más recomendadas es el uso de las flashcards que se puede reconocer como tarjetas de vocabulario o tarjetas de memorización. Y tenemos 2 versiones, unas que tengan gráficos o fotos para que les ayude a los estudiantes y también tenemos una versión sin fotos o gráficos si siente que su estudiante está listo para eso.
You can also do what we call environmental practice, and that means just things that are in your environment. You can ask the students to help you spell. So you can say, I spy with my little eye something that starts with a B. Maybe there's a bat in your room, like a baseball bat. And you say, starts with a B and it ends with a T. What do I see? And then they say, oh, it's a bat. So you can play that game with them.
Y otra manera también se llama usando la práctica ambiental, es usando su hogar y cosas alrededor para jugar un juego con su alumno. Por ejemplo, decir que busquen algo que empiece con la T y señalan a un juguete que es un tigre. O por ejemplo, si está buscando algo que empiece con la letra A, entonces señala a la agua.
And then lastly, you can use Post-its to label things around your house to support that, the word object identification. And so you can label them, put it around your house, or you can even better have your student do it and have them find little words around the house and post them up.
Y también puedo usar el método de etiquetando, y es cuando puede etiquetar objetos usando los post-its para identificar CVC alrededor de su casa con post-its para que los estudiantes puedan verlos, o incluso mejor, haz que los estudiantes lo hagan ellos mismos.
The last skill of reading and writing that students should know before going into first grade is being able to write complete sentences with correct capitalization and punctuation with support and mistakes. I'm gonna highlight with support and mistakes because that's very important. Students at this point are not perfect writers yet, and so allowing them that grace. So again, just a review, what is a simple complete sentence? It is a sentence with a subject, a verb, and an object. It has a capital letter at the beginning and lowercase letters to follow. There's some sort of punctuation mark at the end, so a question mark, an exclamation point, or a period. And then it has what we call finger spacing. So we encourage the students to put their fingers in between words so that they can really separate them. We have a checklist here of things that we look for when we're looking at those sentences. And then here are some examples of simple complete sentences and what we would expect students to be able to write.
Entonces, la última habilidad de lectura y escritura es que los estudiantes deben de poder hacer antes de ingresar al primer grado es escribir oraciones completas con mayúsculas y puntuación correctas. Por supuesto, esto tendrá que ser con apoyo y errores. Tener apoyo y errores es 100% completamente bien y parte del proceso de aprendizaje. Como mencioné al comienzo de la presentación, los niños de 5 o 6 años continuarán necesitando ayuda y los errores están bien. Entonces, ¿qué es una oración completa simple? Básicamente, una oración tiene que tener un sujeto, un verbo y un objeto. Tiene una letra mayúscula al principio y las letras minúsculas a seguir. Hay signos de puntuación, un punto, un signo de exclamación o un signo de interrogación al final. Y los estudiantes usan espacio entre los dedos. Por ejemplo, usando 2 dedos para dejar espacio después de cada palabra. Y aquí hay una lista que pueden ver en la pantalla que da verificación de todo lo que puede buscar en la escritura de sus alumnos. Y estos dos son últimas imágenes, son ejemplos del tipo de oraciones que esperamos que los alumnos se ingresen al primer grado.
And these are some examples. The first two are directly of our students and what they did. They got help from their teacher. So the student did not know how to spell koalas. Their teacher helped them. Same with the word giraffes. That's not a word we expect a kindergartner to know how to do. Their teacher wrote that on the board to help them. And then in the last one, this student used invented spelling, both of which are 100% okay at the beginning of first grade.
Y aquí, por ejemplo, tenemos cómo se vería el trabajo de un estudiante, y como pueden ver aquí, las palabras como koala o giraffes no es algo que esperamos que alguien de la edad de kinder pueda poder escribir sin apoyo, y es completamente bien que tengan el apoyo de la maestra para escribir estas ciertas palabras. Y como ven en la derecha hay lo que llamamos una palabra inventada. Como ves, la palabra pizza no está escrito correctamente, pero el sonido es en la correcta dirección y es lo que nos importa.
All right, so how can you support at home with this? Number one is to just practice consistently. So you can print out some journaling paper and have them draw and write every day. This is an example of free journaling paper.
Y lo importante es que tengan mucha práctica constantemente. Algo que puede hacer es imprimir un diario. Por ejemplo, pueden ver el gráfico abajo, donde pueden dibujar y escriban sobre su día todos los días.
Number 2, pair with drawing, a combination of drawing, dictating, so that's when they're telling you what they want to say, and writing is appropriate at this level, so adding that in.
Y por segunda es tener un par con un dibujo. Una combinación de dibujo, dictado y escritura es apropiada en este nivel.
And I want to spend a little bit of time on this one because it is very important. And it's to encourage invented spelling. And so what this means is that we allow students to try it out and spell it wrong for a while. This is very hard for parents to do because they want their students to be right, which is completely understandable. But it's an essential part of early literacy development. It's developmentally appropriate, it's completely okay, and it helps students to become more creative and analytic, and they'll self-correct as they keep reading and seeing words written correctly. So invented spelling encourages independence, problem solving, critical analysis, and risk-taking. It forces students to tap into their brains. They have to go to what they know of sounds, letters, and words. If they're always coming to you and saying, Mom, how do I spell this? And then you tell them, they're not using their brains, they're using you. Oh, sorry. It develops confidence. And then again, it's completely developmentally appropriate and should be encouraged at this age.
Y algo que es extremadamente importante, y queremos pasar cierto tiempo en esto, es que es muy importante que no corrijan todos los errores de los estudiantes. Y eso es algo que se puede escuchar algo extraño. Y como padres queremos que todo lo que hagan nuestros estudiantes sean 100% perfecto. Pero si recorrimos y damos corrección a cada cosa que escriben los estudiantes, no le da la oportunidad que ellos mismos piensen por sí mismos. Y si los dejas hacer sus propios errores cuando tratando de escribir ciertas palabras, mismo después ya cuando crecen y leen, mismo se recorrigen sus errores y mismo así aprenden mejor.
And so you might be asking yourself, well, they're spelling things wrong. At what point do I step in and correct their mistakes? The simple answer is you don't. If the student asks you to help them with a word, you can help them sound it out and then ask them some questions. So they come to you and they say, Mom, how do you spell Pokemon? You can respond by saying, you want to spell Pokemon? Well, what sounds do you think Pokemon starts with? Okay, what other sounds do you hear? All right, write down what sounds you hear. This is hard, and I know that you want to help them, but what you can do at the same time is you can expose them to correctly spelled writing. So if you're pairing that with lots of books, sight word flashcards, and even your own modeled writing, they're going to see it written correctly. And the reason that we really encourage this is because it builds confidence, independence, and creativity. We can teach the correct spelling later, when the student is in first, second grade. But it's really hard to teach confidence and independence and creativity later, so we really want to encourage that.
Y una pregunta muy común que tenemos de los padres es, entonces, ¿cuándo es el tiempo apropiado para intervenir y corregir los errores de los alumnos? Y la pregunta y la respuesta corta es que simplemente no lo debemos hacer. En vez de darle la respuesta y corrección, lo que debemos hacer es preguntarles, ¿te gustaría que pronuncie la palabra contigo? Por ejemplo, si su estudiante quiere saber cómo escribir la palabra Pokémon, les puede decir el sonido que comienza. Le puedes decir, por ejemplo, ¿con cuál letra piensas tú que empieza? ¿Qué otros sonidos escuchas? Y también otra cosa que puede hacer es exponerlos a la escritura que ya está correcta de la triada. Libros, tarjetas de vocabulario, incluso su propia escritura como un modelo para que aprendan. Y es muy importante esto porque siempre se le puede dar corrección de cómo escribir algo en el futuro, pero enseñar esa confianza y independencia y creatividad es algo que es más duro más tarde y es mejor fortalecer esas habilidades pronto.
So here are a couple examples of some invented spelling. This one is supposed to say hot chocolate is hot, salad is green, but my favorite thing is. And then this one's a little bit more challenging. The student's a little bit younger, but she's saying, I am Snow White, I am Raccoon, I am Deer. Kindergarten teachers are great detectives, and but it really teaches the students to use what they know of their sounds.
Y aquí tenemos dos ejemplos donde puedes ver abajo es cómo se deletra correctamente la oración que los estudiantes trataron de hacer. Y esto es un ejemplo de cómo se llama la intención de deletrar. No es 100% correcto, pero las palabras están en la correcta dirección y eso está perfectamente bien.
Okay. And so I'm going to skip the next couple of slides just because I really want to respect your time. I know that everything is really impacted right now, but we'll post this so that you can read these yourselves after we post it on Parent Square.
Por el momento, de veras quiero respetar a su tiempo y por eso voy a pasar las siguientes páginas, pero lo voy a poner en Parent Square para que después lo pueda ver usted a su tiempo libre.
So, in summary, the keys are expose your student to lots of words through books, magazines, flashcards, environmental print, just things they see in the world.
Entonces, en conclusión, es importante exponer sus estudiantes a muchas palabras a través de libros, revistas, tarjetas de vocabulario y impresiones ambiental.
Number 2, at this point, it is appropriate for your student to need prompting and support, and making mistakes is okay and really encouraged.
Y, por cierto, a este punto es apropiado que su estudiante necesite ayuda y apoyo y cometer los errores es 100% bien.
Okay. And then lastly, I really want to make sure this is clear. These are guidelines, and all of students develop at their own paces. Some students might have been reading independently since the beginning of kindergarten, and maybe some students are learning a little bit more slowly, or they're stronger in math, and that is okay. Students develop at their own paces, and we want to encourage that.
Y otra cosa que quiero que reconozcan otra vez es tocar en el punto que todo esto sirve más como guías que reglas que están hechas en piedra. Los estudiantes son diferentes. Algunos ya pueden leer antes de kinder, otros les toma un poquito más, otros están más fuertes en matemáticas y todo esto está bien, solo cual su estudiante esté aprendiendo a su propio tiempo.
Yeah. So, thank you all so much for joining. We will be doing an update for what students should know in math and their social emotional skills at the end of the month, and so we'll send out that as well. This will be posted on Parent Square along with flashcards and sample flashcards and a couple other resources that I think might be really helpful. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us and we'd be really happy to answer them. Or to the teachers. Honestly, Ms. Sugay and Ms. Cardis are the experts, and so they would be the first people to reach out to. Okay.
Y por el último, estamos muy agradecidos a tenerlos todos aquí y si tienen cualquier preguntas o sugerencias, por favor, esté libre para contactarnos o más a las maestras porque ellas son los expertos directos que están trabajando con sus estudiantes.
All right, thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. I am giving a presentation on tomorrow evening. I'll post it to Instagram and Parent Square with updates about school closure, what we're thinking about next year. So please make sure that you view that when you can.
Y muchas gracias por su tiempo. Ya es todo por el momento. Y otra cosa que vamos a hacer es una presentación que voy a mandar afuera a través de Instagram o Parent Square, que voy a dar actualizaciones de lo que estamos haciendo con el cerramiento de las escuelas y el aprendizaje a las distancias.
All right. Thank you. Bye.